Yeah, let's do it. So, do you guys mind if I go first for spoilers?
Go for it.
So for me, like, yes, the ending was to me verbatim from the cartoon, with one exception. I thought that they gave Ariel a great amount of agency when it came to the ending. So if you remember the ending of the film, it was Prince Eric that rammed the ship into Ursula that killed her, and so they made a change, and it was her that took the ship and did that. And so I thought that that was a brilliant change to give agency to the main character of the film. Um, that scene did not look good at all, and I'll grant you that. But everything about all of that worked for me because, again, I felt like I was watching the animated version of it. Going back to the beginning of the film, what I really did like was the relationship between Javier Bardem and her, where they showed like he's an overprotective father. And so to push against what you're saying when you say that it's a verbatim remake of the whole thing, they incorporated stuff from the Disney sequel where you understand his motivations for being an asshole. So his wife was killed by humans, and it was done trying to save someone else. And part of the reason she died was she was trying to get back a trinket that he had given her, that Trident had given his wife. And that's from one of the animated cartoons of the Little Mermaid that Disney made. So they took that, lifted that storyline, and put it in here, and they're incorporating those things. And so what I love about that is as opposed to the original cartoon, you're like, this guy's kind of a dick, and he's not really understanding it. He has an actual motivation for why, right? Like when he sees those trinkets that she's collected, you kind of understand, like, oh, this is him recognizing that she really is like his wife. And if he doesn't do something, she's going to die. And I loved getting to understand his thought process behind that. I loved his relationship with Sebastian. I loved that they gave Eric a lot more depth. So like this whole kiss the girl thing and all this other stuff, like they they took a character that had zero depth, right? Like he was really just into her for how she looked, and they were able to take Halle Bailey and give her some agency in why it was he liked her, and it wasn't just about how she looked. It was about that he loved all of this stuff from the sea, right? He also was a collector. But not only was he a collector, she was able to show him like all these things that you love. Here's this other thing that you didn't know was there. I thought it was super cute how she explained how to say her name because that was a huge plot hole in the original. She signed a contract with Ursula that gave her voice away. And you watch the rest of the movie, you're like, okay, well, why didn't she just write anything that she wanted to? She could clearly spell her name. So this takes that out of that and makes it a blood contract, which you know from like lore and everything else that you've read is a much stronger kind of magic, which is why, you know, it's less of a joke when she's like, haha, I've got a contract, you can't do anything. Blood magic, that is a much stronger form of magic in all kinds of lore. And so when people say like, oh, there's nothing to this, like that was to me a much deeper look at some of this stuff. I could go on. I want to give you guys a chance to jump in. I got some other stuff, but whoever wants to jump in, go.
Yeah, I think so. You can usually divide up the Disney animated live action remake things into like three categories. You have the completely crap ones. You have the ones that are fine, but like why bother? And then you have the ones that are really good. And I think there's only universally accepted as one that's really good, and I think that's the Cinderella one. I personally also like the Beauty and the Beast one for the most part. I think this kind of straddles the line between those two. I don't think it changes as much as the Cinderella one does, but I also don't think it's quite as verbatim as the Beauty and the Beast one. But it kind of walks that line where, kind of like how Beauty and the Beast embellishes on things, this one also just it's kind of how I'm trying to think of how to explain this. You know how when there's a remaster and the base, I think the thing around it is the remaster doesn't look exactly as it used to. It looks how you remember it. I feel like this movie is kind of, if you would revisit the animated movie, you'd be like, oh, this hit is hard. This hits exactly as I remember it when I was little. even though if you were to watch an animated film, it may not, because it's a lot more shallow and it's a lot more fast paced and it doesn't go as deep. This one does go as deep. You really get to understand the motivations of everybody. You get to understand the motivations of Sebastian a lot better. You understand where he's coming from when he's singing the songs and when he's doing these other things. I really like also how the Kiss the Girl song, where they made it where it's like, oh, let's blend in as we're singing so he doesn't notice. I thought that was really cool. And you know, King Triton a lot more. King Triton terrified me as a kid. I thought he was so mean. I thought he was terrifying. This one, I like, he was warmer and just stupid about how he handled things. Obviously, you understand where Ariel's coming from. I wish they could went a little bit further, a little bit at the beginning, with us understanding why she's so obsessed with the surface. I think maybe if they delved more into maybe, I don't know, a journal that her mom kept or something to do with her mom, and that's why she wanted to. But overall, and Prince Eric, yeah, that was the next one. I think they did so much better with him. I didn't care for his song. It was a little bit too piney, the way he sang it. The song was fine, but just the way he acted as he was doing it was a little bit, I don't know how I feel about that. But the rest of the song, I thought, or the rest of the movie, I just thought was very, very, very entertaining. I was engaged the entire time. Yeah, I just think all the stuff they added really just added depth to I guess, the quote unquote mythology of the Little Mermaid, and made me care that much more. So yeah, I consider this a huge hit. You know me, I don't care about visual effects. There's some part like the beginning when I watched it reminded me of Speed Racer a bit. With like how bright and colorful it is and how things seem maybe a little 2D-ish and strange, but whatever. If it gets the point across, that'll do it for me. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I think it's fantastic.
And so, Danny, before we go to you, Kyle dropped us some good information in the chat. Of all of the audience scores, this has the highest. So at 95%, it has a higher audience score than Beauty and the Beast, Cinderella, Jungle Book, all of them. And so I find that to be pretty interesting. It's kind of middle of the road as far as the critic score, though, with a 68. So there's some much higher. So Cinderella has, I think, the highest one with an 8. No, I'm sorry, Jungle Book. Which Jungle Book is that, Kyle? Is that the one with
that's
Jason?
Favreau's.
Jon Favreau.
Okay.
Which I did like that one. But that one also for me lost its luster after the first time.
I think that was the first of this like new wave of
I think Cinderella
live action. Was Cinderella? I'll double check.
I believe so. What is JB? You said JB highest rated for crit. What does that mean?
Jungle Book.
Jungle Book is the highest rated for the critics, yeah. Yeah.
Got it.
Go ahead, Danny. What you got?
Yeah, I hear what you guys are saying, and I kind of understand where you might be coming from. But I found it interesting, Jonesy, that you mentioned Creed as the one that has the parent-child relationship, because I think that was so much better. And I don't know how you can compare these two with that height, because I think Creed got that bit better. So I mean, while I agree, when you say Creed, I'm like, yeah, 100%. That was a great relationship feel and script in that. In this one, it was just Javier Bardem's King. I just thought was it was just the average father villain. I could see where it was going to go from the very beginning. It gave nothing extra, and I think that's why.
Well, you're not going to these movies to see twists and turns. You're not like thinking maybe he's going to kill Ariel.
Well, this is my point about why would you bother doing it if you're just going to make the same movie?
Because I don't think that they
Lion
did.
King looked beautiful, but why do it? The original animated was damn good as it was. I don't know.
The basic story is the same. Some of the lines are the same. The songs are the same, but I feel like the script itself, it goes deeper. It's like, so this is the animated one where it's able to be surface level. This one kind of like it follows the same.
Well, I guess
line,
I'm not seeing the depth that you guys are. I liked Eric. I thought the Prince Eric was a good character, but all the others, I was more interested in the Queen's first man, the guy that was like the link up between the two. No, the guy that was helping them. I don't know what his name
Grimsby.
is.
His butler guy?
Grimsby.
Oh, Grimsby. Yep.
It's Grimsby.
Grimsby.
I cared more about him as a character
Mark Strong,
than I did. And another British guy. So I guess I'm just not seeing this depth that you guys are, and that's why I wasn't drawn into it as much. There were some great parts, 100%. Hold on, Josie. Once the ring thing happened at the end, I know we're not in spoilers yet. I was just
Yeah,
I
we are.
tapped
Yeah, we
out.
are.
I'm like, all of
Yeah,
this
we
is
are.
just nonsense past. How did we get there? How did that happen? I don't understand. I don't care.
Because he bewitched her.
yeah, no,
I'm sorry,
I get
she
what it
bewitched
was,
him.
But the ring was just forgotten, and then well, go on. I don't want to get into
No,
spoiler stuff.
he kicked it like Jamie Tart. Motherfucker was like,
Yeah.
bam, kicked the ring out.
Yeah, but then
That's
that
why I
was
love
the end
James.
of the whole ring thing. They never even got the ring.
It's
for
not
the-
a.
Yeah, because you could tell
because
that
she got her voice back.
So here, yeah, the lore of the siren song is her ability to draw men to her. So once it was gone, she couldn't do anything. You could tell
Yeah.
that when Ursula was talking to the parent and had.
So what you're saying
Eric,
is all she
he
had
was
to do
under
was
her
rip the
spell.
necklace from Ursula's neck, and she got her powers back.
that is what
But she has
happened.
to-
That's
she has
exactly
to
what
break
I
happened.
know
in
her
that's
to the
what
ground.
happened.
She has-
So this
she has to free her
amazing
voice.
magic that you guys think is awesome is that all he had to do was rip the necklace off. There's no blood
Yeah.
link there.
No. That's the contract. The contract was she took her scale, and that's what she gave to Ursula to make the contract. That's the
Right.
blood magic. That's
That's
what
separate from
stopped
the siren
Trident.
song.
That's
Get her
what
voice
stopped
back.
Trident from killing her. When Trident pulled out the Trident and tried to kill Ursula, that blood magic, that blood contract, is what stopped him from being able to kill her.
And that's
The
different from the
deal
siren
was-
song.
Exactly.
Well, there you go. That's where you lost me because I thought it was all part of the same contract. I'm just.
She
I
made
mean,
a contract
it is
with
in a
Ariel.
sense, yeah.
Separately, she's saying she possessed isn't the right word. What's the word?
She took
Control.
possession of her voice.
No. With regards to her singing and taking control of
Trident.
Eric. That's not the right word. Eric.
Oh, yeah, he was bewitched by the voice, by the
Bewitching her.
siren song, which is the
That is
whole
separate
point of
from
the
the
siren
contract.
song.
I don't
That
think I've
is-
made it clear
that
about
is
why I
what-
didn't like it. I get what happened. I know exactly what happened. It just
I'm not
bored
convinced
me,
you do.
and the whole thing just went really fast. I mean, I don't know how she suddenly appeared into a giant calypso thing at the end either. What the magic
tried-
of
He's
Because
Trident's
she used
power.
the Trident.
Yeah, I get.
It's
Yeah,
the
she
same
used,
thing she
but
did in
at
the
no point
cartoon.
during the movie was that Trident shown to be the thing that she really wanted. She just wanted revenge on her brother. So with the
But this
Trident
wanted
suddenly
power.
becomes this all.
Yeah, she wanted power,
and then he dies,
just like Scar
and
wanted
then
power.
comes back.
I don't think he dies.
but
He
none
gets
of-
shriveled up.
Yeah.
It disappears into the back. The whole thing. You clearly love it, so you're going to fight it, and you got your shirt off.
No,
and I just
no,
found it
because what I'm telling
So-
you is everything that you're complaining about is stuff that happened in the cartoon. So
Yeah,
if
but it's
you
not that I
it's
don't
not
like
that
or
understand
it's-
it. I
and
just
it's stuff
find
that's
it sounded
explained.
boring and
Yeah.
exactly the same
It's-
cartoon.
Well, it
But it's
sounds
all
like you
ex-
don't understand it.
So being bored and not understanding it are two different things. You're like, I don't understand how the ring happened. Like, okay, this is what happened. Well, I understand the contract and the blood thing. Well, okay, well, this is how it happened. Not
All right,
liking
well,
it
then
and being
let me
bored with it.
scrabble that
Like, if
and
you
let
don't,
me settle on the fact that I understand all of it, and it was still boring even
Oh, I
compared
loved
to
it.
the first.
I
would
loved it
know.
because I thought that it created better explanations for what happened for a lot of that stuff. So
Can
I
you
was into it.
explain then
Also,
how the king came back to life then? Because okay, the
really
power
quick,
of the
hold on.
because,
Is this,
like
is
Jammer
this
said,
hold on,
he
hold on,
wasn't
hold on.
sure.
Stop. Is this something that you don't understand, or are you just bored by the fact that he
Yeah,
came
I
back to life?
genuinely don't understand. Now, all the Trident did was fall down and land in the ground, and then he came back to
So
life.
Jammer
one
explained
used
it
No
already.
one wielded it. No one pointed it at anything. She was even surprised
So
that it
Jammer
came
said.
back.
So Jammer said he got shriveled, not killed. So remember when?
And
Do you
when
remember
did
the
I
original
miss that
cartoon
bit
at all?
when it was explained
Do you
he was
remember the
shriveled
original
and not
cartoon at
killed?
all? How much do you
No.
remember the original cartoon? All right.
None at
So
all.
when she's going into Ursula's cave in the beginning, all those things that were trying to grab her were people that made shitty deals with Ursula that she won out on. So imagine that. That's what happened to Trident. And so when that Trident hit this is so annoying. When the Trident hit the ground, it restored him because he was like one of those things that was trying to grab her. Now, is it bad that they didn't show it? Yes. And I think they
Yes.
did it for the dramatic tension because I genuinely was like, did Trident just die? I have a note that I was like kind of freaked out that I thought that they'd killed him. But what happened was he got shrank just like the people in her cave. Now,
Okay,
I think
that was not
what
explained
happened is
anywhere.
there
Where was
is
that?
You're right.
Where was
because
that?
I
It's
think
something
that
you have to know the
because I
cartoon
think it's
more.
bad.
Right.
Yeah, you have to know the cartoon. Because that also happens in the cartoon. That's exactly
So
what she
if
does to him
Ursula
in the
had
cartoon.
dropped the Trident, just dropped it because she's clumsy as fuck, he would have come back to life. He would have come unshriveled or deshriveled, whatever it was. Because all it did was hit the floor. It didn't. That's what I mean. Ariel didn't point it anywhere or explain that now I want my father unshriveled. I'm going to point this trident at something important or at him or something. It just landed on the floor. And she was
do you remember in the
surprised.
cartoon how he came back? I think it was once she got killed, he came back. I think that was it.
So
So
I mean, that would have made more sense.
Here's
'cause
my
I would have thought,
explanation.
okay, all the magic she used has now become undone. That would have made more sense to me if that had happened.
Yeah, the fact that she's dead. So here's my explanation. You won't like it. The fact that the wielder of the trident, who willed that thing to happen, died, is the thing that undid the magic.
Not when it, but it only when it hit the floor.
It takes time.
I get you.
Well, she did. She
That's just what
takes
you
some time
saw.
to die. She takes time to die. That's what you saw, but she
And
takes
at
time to
that
die.
point
The
that
second
the
she
trident
died,
hit
then
the
it's
sand
dead.
is when she died.
Yep.
That's why the
There you
magic
go.
came out of it. Okay.
I mean,
There
if
you
this
go.
is your quibble, like I'm not. This isn't impressive.
It's
Like,
not. This is
'cause
one
again-
of all of the things that I just think were just so.
But
loosely-
again, I don't know
you
that I
know.
think you've done a good job of separating what you don't understand versus what you don't like.
Yeah.
Also, Danny, you've made me. You know what? A+ movie. Out of spite.
And so here's some other things that I'll talk about that I really liked about this movie. I really loved Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. Like not only like the movements that they gave her as
Her
the
body getting
octopus,
dragged around by the legs.
it was so creepy. I loved it.
And I
But
did like
also
that she
loved the fact
underplayed
her
it as well.
voice-
She didn't
I loved
overdo
her
it as good.
voice. I loved her makeup, and I also loved that she basically had Doc Ock arms, right? So if you think about like Spider-Man 2, like the arms are like independently thinking and doing stuff, and she's like screaming at them and telling them no, like no, I don't want that, I want that. Oh yeah, I got it, don't worry about it, and like talking to them like they're individual people, which I appreciated all of that like Sam Raimi-ness. While generally Awkwafina doesn't do a lot for me. I
She the
thought that
bird.
Scuttle was perfect for her. Like I thought that she was great as this like scatterbrain kind of character, and her and Daveed Diggs perfect together. And so
You know,
the other thing that I really
Oh, go ahead.
My favorite song, by the way, was the Scuttle song, Scuttlebutt. That was
and
my
I was going to
favourite
say
song
what I
out of it.
really enjoy about that was the fact that you could really feel the Lin-Manuel Miranda influence in it. So like he helped with a lot of the original songs for this, because I think there's the three new original songs for this movie, and he helped with those. And so like when they start rapping, you're like, oh yeah, that's Hamilton all day right there.
Yeah. So it's funny for me. Is literally the whole movie. I was thinking, who is Sebastian? This person's really good. And at the end, I was like, oh, well, no shit. It's Daveed Diggs.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, of course. Lafayette,
Yeah.
obviously. So I'm trying to think of what else we could talk about before we jump out of spoilers. I don't know. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I like that you got
Me
here.
too.
Oh, here's the last thing I'll say before we jump out of spoilers. I love the cameo from
Out of
Jodie
spoilers.
Benson. No, before we jump out of spoilers. I love the
Okay.
cameo from Jodie Benson, who is the original voice of Ariel, because she was the one that handed the fork to her
Yeah.
in the village.
Oh,
And that to
didn't
me
know
was
that.
like a passing of the torch to
I was going to
Ariel.
ask you that because they
Um,
lingered on that character for a long enough time
Yeah.
for me to think this is someone important
Who is
that
this?
I should know. But yeah, who is this? Why are they giving this
Yeah.
this fork bearer such
Yeah.
such prominence?
I
in
love
that
it's,
explains-
it's a torch. Like it was such a big deal in the original, and here it is, and I love that. And
Also, I will say
Okay,
Halle
absolutely.
Bailey's voice. Halle Bailey's voice. She sounded exactly like. She sounded like her. Just her talking. She sounded exactly like
I
her
got
from
chills.
the cartoon. It was
I got
crazy. It
chills.
was weird.
And my last thing for spoilers was I loved when Trident said to her, "I should have heard you, and you shouldn't have had to lose your voice for me to hear you." And when I tell you, like I was like the tears were like welling up. I was like, "Oh my god, you got me!
Yeah.
You guys got me." But I thought that Halle Bailey's performance was fantastic. I thought the two of them were great. I thought that they did a really good job fleshing out Eric's character. And lastly, very problematic that Sebastian was the only one with a Caribbean accent in the original. They fixed that, right? They flipped the entire world. He was the normal one, and Eric was the other, right? He was the one that they found and adopted and brought in. Fantastic job. So for me, A+ film. I recommend it to anybody. Yeah, that's all I got.
Solid A for me, and A+ if I'm talking to Danny. Just out of spite. So there we go. I think we're ready to move on.